So I guess my life feels very meaningless. Like I don't have anything of my own. So I started researching a bit. I talked to GPT, I talked to Claude, and I came to the conclusion that maybe I should start an e-commerce business of my own.
Well, lucky for you, you don't see my second hand because I was carrying this complete guide with me just today. In case someone asked me this particular question on how to start an e-commerce business and turn it into a brand in 2026.
You carry this every day to office?
Yeah, just in case someone asks me. We first started with what exactly is ecom, then you go on to the next section where you understand the business model. Then you go to figure out your niche, which is very important because you can't just simply build any e-commerce store. Then you do an actual in-depth market analysis. Here you figure out what your product is, where is it coming from. Then you move on to setting up your store. So इसके अंदर simple है. Pick a platform like Shopify. Once you have a store, once you know what you're going to sell, then you figure out how will people see you. So that's an important section where you figure out distribution. Lastly, you do all of this, it will still most likely fail if you don't build a brand around it.
That was a lot. Like, can you break that down for me?
I can. A lot of information, which is why I have paper and pens ready to explain all of this. So abhi tak you might have used a lot of e-commerce platforms like Amazon or Flipkart or Meesho or या even Myntra से खरीदा होगा या किसी brand से खरीदा होगा. That is you experiencing all of that from the customer's POV. What we're trying to get into right now is कि how to be on the other side. कि दूसरी side कैसे चलती है, right? That's essentially what we want to get into.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we have to figure out is understanding e-commerce. What is e-commerce? There are a lot of different types. E-commerce in general is just buying and selling. Everything that we do is commerce. E-commerce is online commerce. That's it. मतलब हर चीज दुनिया में धंधा जो करती है वो commerce ही होता है. We are just understanding digital में कैसे होता है. Digital में there are three types of e-commerce that is happening. One is D2C, which is direct to consumers. Then there is B2B, business to business. Then there is C2C, which is consumer to consumer. Then there is B2C, which is business to consumers. So D2C तो बहुत direct है. मतलब any e-com brand that is selling directly to consumers, that's D2C. Brands like Mokobara, Nicobar. Then it's business to business. Business to business बहुत direct है. People who are selling to directly to businesses. This is not complete e-com, I would say, but हाँ, there are platforms and websites in the world जिसके अंदर business to business जैसे wholesale packaging बेच रहे होते हैं.
Salesforce भी B2B है.
हाँ, Salesforce भी B2B है. Yeah, you understand. Then there is consumer to consumer. जैसे OLX पे one person is selling to a different person. So वैसे टाइप के platforms होते हैं. And then there is business to consumers. Generally marketplaces like Flipkart, Amazon or Myntra, they come in business to consumer. There is a business that is selling to a lot of different consumers. These are the general different types of e-commerce businesses that you should understand about. अब इसके basis पे you will select what are you getting into. If you are a first time founder, most of you will go to D2C क्योंकि easiest and most straightforward to implement. If you are getting into a B2B business, तो मैं B2B में e-com ज़्यादातर नहीं होता क्योंकि वो direct sales में ज़्यादा होता है. This is generally direct sales.
But why not B2C for a
first time founder?
First time founder.
This would involve you to create marketplace, which was a very good trend in let's say 2015 or maybe even 2010. But right now it's a little saturated. You're competing with players like Amazon and Flipkart, which makes your job very difficult. Then you have to decide upon the business model. Business model से मेरा मतलब है कि आपके business का actual model होने क्या वाला है. How are you going to source your products? Like of course the obvious one is you can build your own product. Second is private label. And third is drop shipping. In this step or in this section, what we're trying to figure out is what is your business model going to be. So first is building your own product. अब इसके अंदर either you will create your own product. Like for example, a lot of people are doing their own candles, scented candles, flower candles, this candle, that candle. There are so many candle brands in the world. I don't know. People are producing and building their own products. Some people also create their own formulations of maybe laundry detergent and anything that you are building by yourself. इसके अंदर आपका product खुद बना रहे हो आप. ये है DIY. Then comes private label where majority of the businesses today they have a factory, they find a factory or they find a supplier and they basically private label whatever they are producing. Most of the leading brands in the world, they find a factory, mostly it's in China वाले factory वाले बनाते हैं उनका label लगाते हैं and then someone else sells it, right? That's how most people get their products from. And the last one is obviously drop shipping. इसके अंदर it's an extension of private labeling where everything is handled by someone else. There is someone else that is producing it and shipping it. All you are basically doing is you're selling it. Sale happens through you and everything else is handled by someone else. You just get a margin. इसके अंदर the incentive is in essence पूरा e-commerce ही margin business है. बट इसके अंदर बस एक आपका कट आपको मैनेज करना है. इसके अंदर आपको काम ज़्यादा नहीं करना. इसके अंदर मार्केटिंग भी आपको फिगर आउट करनी है, शिपिंग भी आपको फिगर आउट करनी है. सो यू आर टेकिंग केयर ऑफ मार्केटिंग, शिपिंग, द टीम एंड एवरीथिंग. अब इसके अंदर एक स्टेप और ऐड होता है कि इसके साथ साथ आपको प्रोडक्शन भी पूरी अपनी देखनी है. सो ऑफ कोर्स in the order of increasing complication, this has the least amount of work, then more. Evidently, सबसे आसान होता है drop shipping, which is why 80 to 90% of the people who want to get into business for the first time and they want to get into e-commerce, they go for drop shipping. But again, like I said here, this is not 2015 now. Drop shipping is very saturated. So it's difficult to build a brand and then give the keys of your business to someone else because essentially someone else is doing all of your work. So now, if you're doing it for the first time, most of you who are watching this video, they'll go for private label. But agar now you have to create a new electronic gadget, let's say a power bank for your phone. घर पे बना लोगे? Most people won't be able to. Candle थोड़ी ना कि घर पे बन जाएगी, right? So then private label comes into action. कैंडल तो हर बंदा ही बना रहा है खैर. But anyways, so this could be the next thing that you have to figure out if you're starting a e-commerce brand.
Okay. So if I'm like starting an e-commerce business, I can list any product, right? So why can't I just sell everything, like be a mini Amazon?
A lot of answers to that. Very simply, if you have to create another Amazon, then you'll have to beat Amazon. How do you beat Amazon? By spending more money than them. Do you have or does anyone in the world has like more money than Amazon to beat them? मतलब मुश्किल होगा काफी.
Like I find the idea of D2C very appealing, so I want to go ahead with D2C. So but like how do I start with D2C then?
That's exactly where I was going to, and which was the section 3, which is the figure out your niche. Because you can't be selling everything like Amazon because it's very hard to compete with someone of that magnitude because they're selling everything and they are also selling it now because they have years and years of trust. ऐसे भी सोचो कि Amazon आने से पहले there were a ton of different marketplaces across the world. Even in India की example लो तो बहुत सारे brands आए गए. Jabong था, Fashion and You था India में. Like there are so many platforms that used to exist in India also. But Amazon, Flipkart, they have stood the test of time. So now people trust them. It takes years to build that and a lot of money. And in 2026, my suggestion would be don't compete with marketplaces. Marketplaces बनाने का time था 2010 में or maybe 2005 में. So now your next step ideally will be to figure your niche out. Like I'll explain it through an example. If you have a toothache, you won't go to a general physician. Like the first thing that will come to your mind is कि dentist पे जाती है. That's understanding who you go to based upon what need you have, right? So that's essentially what figuring your niche out is. You have to pick a lane and then you have to stick with it. Because inherently, जो मैंने शुरू में भी बोला था कि e-commerce as a topic is so broad कि it's like opening any new business in the world. You could be selling anything. There are hundreds of ideas. You'll have to figure out what you want to sell. You can sell skincare also, health also, fitness also. You can sell electronics also, consumer electronics, and then home appliances are different. So many different niches. I can't even list all of them out. But again, like this is something that you can look up on the internet. कि सबसे ज़्यादा search volume किसमें है, सबसे ज़्यादा trend में क्या है. Maybe you can pull out some data and just tell me what are the top 5 niches that are most trending in 2026 if someone has to start a new brand. So you can either go to Claude, GPT, and you can look up the best niches with the most volume of stores, with the most volume of brands, with the most volume of demand in the market today.
Okay. So the first niche that I found is skincare and beauty tools. The second one is health and fitness, like post-pandemic.
Yeah. Makes sense because post-pandemic, this market has boomed a lot.
Third one is phone and laptop accessories.
Yeah.
Fourth is home decor.
Yeah. People like this.
Fifth, pet supplies.
Pet supplies. So skincare and beauty makes sense. Like brands like Minimalist अभी acquire हुआ था for 3,000 crores. HUL acquired it. K beauty वाले ट्रेंड में बहुत brands निकल के आए डॉट एंड की जैसे. So it's a ever evolving market. नाइका है हमारे उसमें like where new brands are launched very actively every day. Health and fitness post pandemic boom इसके अंदर आया है. Like it involves everything from fitness things, cycling equipments, बहुत सारी चीज़ें. So that's a booming market. इसका बड़ा biggest example is boat. But बहुत सारे electronic brands आप देखोगे Realme जैसे जो इंडिया में launch होते रहते हैं because it's a very big market in India. Next up is home decor and organization. This too has been a growing market because India as a consumer market is becoming aspirational. So people want to invest more into their household items and their desk organizations. Products and brands like Home Center have come into existence. Home decor in India is a very personal decision because we are all about hospitality and बहुत सारे guests आ रहे हैं तो आपको घर अच्छा रखना है अपना तो yeah, it does make sense. The last one is pet supplies. Ziggly and Heads Up for Tails, for example, they have come into existence because pet market India में बहुत boom कर रही है. A lot of people got a lot of pets and now like we have very big scale brands also in the pet domain. So अब आपको क्या करना है? 3 चीज़ें हैं: demand, competition and repeat. How do you pick which one is right for you? So there are 3 metrics: demand, competition and repeat purchase. अब इन metrics पे you have to evaluate which is the right business for you plus the business that you are most passionate about also. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आप पेट सप्लाईज में घुस रहे हो लेकिन you don't know anything about pets. You've never had a pet ever in your life. It can't work out like that. So something that you're passionate about plus do study the market, do analyze the market, do review the competition. Again, all of this is very easy in 2026. Do your market research using AI. A lot of data will come out. So pick a category, figure your niche out. So यहाँ तक हम पहुँच गए. Everything clear?
So let's say I pick skincare as my niche.
Okay,
but
makes sense.
there are so many products. There are jade rollers. There are those LED masks. So which product? Like, how do I find which product would be the best for my niche?
So उसी पे मैं आ रहा था कि एक तो AI को leverage करके तो आपको research करनी ही करनी है, but you have to do a very detailed market analysis. Once you have figured out your niche, let's say you specified skincare, but skincare में like you just mentioned, there are a ton of different products. Now you have to figure out what is a product that you can build upon. कहाँ वो gap आपको दिख रहा है? बिकॉज अगर आप गैप के बिना बनाने लगोगे देन यू विल बिकमिंग वन ऑफ दोज ब्रांड्स जो कि रोज लॉन्च होते हैं रोज बंद होते हैं. सो इसके अंदर भी आई विल गिव यू 3 मेजर थिंग्स दैट मोस्ट पीपल डोंट थिंक अबाउट एंड विच इज वेरी रेलेवेंट फॉर 2026. एंड एक जो है वो एक्सपर्ट इनसाइडर जिसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं कर रहा. फर्स्ट वन इज short form content. Insta reels and YouTube shorts is one category where you have to scroll through all the different reels in the category that you're picking and figure out what kind of content are people making and किस content पे views आ रहे हैं. जिस content पे बहुत views आ रहे हैं और उस पे बहुत competition है तो आपको समझ भी आने लग जाएगा किस पे सबसे ज़्यादा volume है. So think about reels जिसके अंदर millions of views होते हैं and then people are commenting what is the price, where can I get this product, is this available in this city. There'll be kinds of content which will be the winning creatives. Shit posting बहुत चलती है but जैसे स्किन केयर में भी shit posting चलती होगी but कौन सा टाइप का content है जिसपे प्रोडक्ट की बातें सही हो रही हैं. That is what you have to figure out. So this is first. Second is marketplaces. So Amazon, Flipkart, bestsellers. So all you have to do is get into the category that you're targeting and इस category में what all products are available and then check out the reviews. What are people saying? What are the complaints? What are they missing out on? And what is the highest sellers in this category? अब वो highest sellers में सबसे ज़्यादा gap कहाँ दिखता है based upon the comments you read, based upon what people are saying, based upon the reviews and the feedbacks. एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट डेटा से भी आपको बहुत अच्छा एक यूजर इनसाइट द रियल यूजर बिहेवियर मिल जाएगा जिसके अंदर से यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड ओके दिस इज दिस गैप दैट आई कैन फुलफिल. द लास्ट एंड द ऑब्वियस वन इज गूगल ट्रेंड्स. गूगल ट्रेंड्स पे पूरा डेटा मिल जाता है. व्हाट इज द मोस्ट ट्रेंडिंग topic that people are searching about on Google. Google is still relevant because people go to Google and they search on the search engine and Google Trends वो पूरा डेटा आपको दे सकता है कि किस पे सबसे ज़्यादा वॉल्यूम आ रही है. जिस पे वॉल्यूम बहुत ज़्यादा आ रही है यूजुअली उस पे कॉम्पिटिशन भी हाई होता है. अब लेट्स से गूगल ट्रेंड ने आपको बता दिया स्किन केयर में पीपल आर सर्चिंग अ लॉट अबाउट कोरियन स्किन केयर. अब कोरियन स्किन केयर आपको पता लग गया हाई वॉल्यूम कैटेगरी है तो फिर आप गए कहाँ पे Amazon, Flipkart के बेस्ट सेलर्स में. कोरियन ब्यूटी वाले में आपने you analyze all the competition, you analyze what people are saying, what the reviews are saying, and what the gap is kind of happening in this category. इससे आपको broadly समझ आ गया कि क्या गैप हो रहा है. उसके बाद आप गए Instagram रील्स पे, यहाँ पे आपने कोरियन ब्यूटी सर्च करा, आप देखा कि कैसा कंटेंट लोग बना रहे हैं, किस टाइप के कंटेंट पे सबसे ज़्यादा एंगेज कर रहे हैं, व्हाट आर पीपल कमेंटिंग अपॉन. दिस ओनली वर्क्स व्हेन यू कंबाइन ऑल ऑफ दिस डेटा. Then you get real insights of कहाँ आप घुस सकते हो. This will be your winning product that you have to figure out. अब एक लास्ट हैक बताता हूँ जिसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता, पहले बताया था मैंने. So bonus would be Meesho. Now this is very specific for tier 2 and tier 3 India, जिसके अंदर the consumer base is ever increasing. Tier 2 and Tier 3 India is growing as a customer base. They are getting very equipped with smartphones. ये जो यहाँ पे हमने बात करी थी, इन सब के पास भी smartphone है. Internet is getting cheaper. Everyone is on the internet. Searching the category here, finding the gaps on Meesho, researching the categories and the biggest players, the kind of products here will also be relevant. Now, based upon all of this analysis, the output that you're trying to get is, can you find a winning product? Can you get a good supplier for it? Does it solve for a real problem? And last, can you sell it for a price that gives you profit as well? When you sell it, it needs to give you profit, but it needs to be competitive. I'm not again proposing that you have to be the cheapest in the market, but you have to be somewhere in that vicinity. या तो आप सबसे lowest price पे घुस सकते हो market में, या आप equivalent price हो तो आप उसकी perception बहुत increase कर दो. If your pricing is similar to 10 different products out there, then your perception should be higher than all those different 9 products that you are competing with, right? So that's how you win with market analysis. Now you have finalized the complete business model, your niche, your product, सब कुछ आपने final कर दिया. तो अब हम move करेंगे to actually building something, and we'll start with setting up your e-commerce store. So this is the part that used to require a lot of investment previously and a lot of time. You had to hire a developer, you had to figure out किससे बनवाना है, कैसे बनवाना है, कितना खर्चा होगा. But now in 2026, this is a very easy step. There are different platforms available in the market. You can use one of them and set up your store by yourself. So first would be Shopify. Second would be WooCommerce. And my last category would be AI based. All of this will require AI, but I'll explain it. अब Shopify आपको देता है global standard and it works very well in India as well. So again, this would obviously be my suggestion. In 2026, you can check up a theme on Shopify and just customize it with your products, your images, and all the information that you want. You'll have to watch a couple of YouTube videos on how to set up a Shopify store. But even if you don't, Shopify ने ही guided steps दिए होते हैं कैसे setup करना है store. अब ये जो है, this is a cost-effective solution. एंड ऑफ कोर्स अगर कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव है तो इसके अंदर आपका टाइम ज़्यादा जाएगा. लाइक इट इज़ नॉट एज ईजी टू यूज एज शॉपिफाई. मोस्टली डेवलपर्स इसको यूज करते हैं, लेकिन यू एंड अप saving a lot of money because there is no recurring fee to a WooCommerce store. Shopify mein you'll have to pay a monthly fee. So this is not there in WooCommerce, but you'll have to set up all of this by yourself, or you can hire a cheap freelancer. You can get this done by someone. And the last one would be use something like Lovable that automatically connects to Shopify. It can also connect to WooCommerce. और उसको prompt दो, उससे website setup करो, simple सी website बनाओ, validate करो पहले अपने product को, and then if you need, then you can build it in future a proper website. So you just need to keep this in mind when you're building a e-commerce store. You need a domain name, you need a logo, you need product pages, you need photos of the product, you need payment gateway. My suggestion would be PayUmoney or Razorpay. Shipping setup, the best one out there is Delivery, but ShipRocket is another good one. And of course, policies, because you don't want to get sued. So policies means shipping, return, privacy, all of that. Again, don't get into legal battles because you're building a business, you're not fighting a court case. And the most important one is mobile friendly. अब इस पूरे step का purpose क्या है? What we are trying to do is we are trying to validate if our product is even selling. Once you have validated through any of these 3 steps, then the next step would be to customize it. बेस्ड अपॉन रियल डेटा. अब कस्टमाइज करोगे तब आप प्रॉपर डिजाइन स्टोर बनाना या ब्रांडेड स्टोर बनाना. दैट लुक्स वेरी यूनिक टू योर बिजनेस.
So let's say my store is live, but how do people actually find me? As you said, like the market is very saturated.
Yep.
And no one will randomly find my product on Google or GPT, whatever.
Rightly said. How would people find you? So now we need to discuss about distribution. अब distribution का तो दो ही तरीके हैं. आपके आपने वेबसाइट बनाने के लिए जैसे आपने पूछा how will people find you? दो ही तरीके हैं. Either you pay for attention or you do it organically. There is no generally third way. If you're paying for attention, then there are 2-3 different categories. There is of course Meta. Then there is Google Ads और भी बहुत सारे हैं YT ads and all of that. वो but Google में ही आ जाता है. LinkedIn भी है. It depends upon business that you're getting into. There are too many platforms. Like even X has ads. So like paid platforms, every platform will have their own paid promotions. But predominant for most users, like if you're building skincare, most relevant for you would be the Meta ads and the Google ads. I've made a very detailed video on this previously as well, where you shouldn't be running paid ads if you are a new business because it's expensive. If you're investing 5,000, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला 50,000 return आने वाला. So this will put a very big dent in your pocket, and new brands should never go for paid attention, which makes this part very important. क्योंकि अगर आप अपने ब्रांड में ऑर्गेनिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नहीं ला पाए तो आपको बिजनेस चलाने का कोई हक ही नहीं है फिर. You shouldn't be running your business only. So organic is everything. Organic is your content that you make. I'll start with Insta only, or I'll just say short form content. So short form content could be on Insta as well as YouTube. This is where you can create a lot of organic trust and you can create a lot of organic distribution where people follow you, they follow your story. You can build a story around your brand. You can build a story around how you set up the brand. You can build a story upon your challenges in building this brand. Just share anything, but you need to form a community. A loyal community of people that want to follow your journey. That is first. The second is long form content. Again, the purpose here is also similar, but इसमें ज़्यादा effort लगने वाला है. But इसका return भी ज़्यादा हो जिसमें effort ज़्यादा लगेगा. So long form is YouTube. It has monetization as well, but the audience that you get here is very loyal then. A lot of skincare brands have been made on YouTube because they used to share the detailed videos of कैसे skin में वो हो रहा है, makeup videos and all of that. So long form content is another very prominent factor. Other things you can think of are like different platforms like X or LinkedIn. A bit depends upon each business, but organic content is the way to go. There is one catch though. Since this is cost effective, this will be harder. This will take time. To build authority, you need to invest anywhere from 9 to 12 months without getting a lot of returns. Which is why this is the hard step, which is why most brands do not have any organic following. Most of them, they just buy their following through paid ads. And the last thing could be, which is technically not in any category, but it could be in organic category, which is influencers. Why am I putting this in an organic category is if you're starting a new brand, go for micro influencers who have a real following. जिनके वो मिलियन वाले नहीं चाहिए जिसके अंदर आप सिर्फ फॉलोइंग है फालतू लड़के, वो नहीं चाहिए आपको चाहिए माइक्रो इन्फ्लुएंसर्स हु आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रियल शिट एंड देयर कम्युनिटी इज ऑल्सो वेरी लॉयल टू देम. सो पार्टनर अप विद देम. इफ दे लाइक योर प्रोडक्ट then they do it. You don't need to pay them to do an ad. That is not what my suggestion would be. That also comes, but that comes later. And it's very sensitive to what business you're picking. Just give them the product. If they like it, they'll make a video on it automatically because they also need content to be made.
So all of this makes sense, but there's still one question that I want to ask. There are already so many skincare brands, but how does my brand stand out? Why would someone choose my product instead of just going to Nike or Amazon?
Best question you have asked all day. We have understood everything that there is to set up a brand, but how do you stand out? That is where building a brand is very important. Most people in India especially, they confuse this term. Business banana is a different thing, brand banana is a different thing. All of this is about how to set up an e-commerce business abhi tak. But उस business को brand में convert करना is very important if you want to stand out in the eyes of the end consumers. I'll give you quick steps on how to do this, but it is how you differentiate and how you stand out in the market. It is what your brand speaks to the audience and what it makes them feel. That's what we're trying to identify. अब उसके easy steps हैं. I'll do it in a step-by-step manner. First is positioning. Second is visual direction. The third step is identity. Then comes website, which we have already covered, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then is everything else, like how your brand is perceived in the world. So distribution, marketing, videos, all of that. So let's look at it one by one. Positioning and strategy is how you stand out. ये market space है, for example, if this is a market space, you need to figure out what space your brand occupies in this market. That exactly is positioning. This market is already occupied by a lot of players. अब अगर इसके अंदर आपको stand out करना है, तो ideally you'll have to position yourself a little uniquely than others. Right? How are you different than others? If you're getting into a skincare category, which is very crowded, तो आपका brand अलग कैसे दिखेगा? So that's what we have to figure out in this. You might have done a lot of market analysis by now. But इस step पे अब आपको करना पड़ेगा commit कि this is what I stand for and this is what I do not stand for. My brand will never do this again. I would say that is more important than that what you would do. Because a lot of brands, they do everything. And that is never right. Because then you can't stand out in the eyes of the end consumer, right? So what you can and can't do as a brand is defined here. You establish your brand story, because a country like India and any place in the world, people resonate more with stories rather than अगर आप उनको बेचने चले जाओगे, okay, buy this. Instead, if you tell them a story, okay, I had this problem, which is why I came up with this solution. It's basically a very direct correlation. Then people can resonate more towards your brand. So ये है step one. Most people skip both of these things. They go directly to the third point. Why does that happen? Is positioning and strategy वाला जो step है, it feels like homework to most, because इसका कोई tangible output नहीं निकल के आता. At the end of the day, what you get is maybe a doc or maybe just a Google Drive where it's very clear for you as a person, okay, this is what my brand stands for and this is what my brand will never do. So the end output would be a doc or just a pager which basically defines what your brand is, what your brand is not, what are your values, mission, vision, the brand story. So all of these are like the end outputs that come out of positioning, and at the end of the day you get a positioning statement also, right? So for example, skincare is a very crowded market, so uske andar now the new age brands that are coming up, brands like Moxie, they're trying to be very bold and disruptive, and brands like Faye Beauty are coming in that stand for inclusivity, that stand for all Indian skin types. So they're trying to differentiate themselves, they're trying to take a unique space in the market, because market to utna hi hai and it's ever evolving. Once you have figured out, okay, this is what I'm standing for, then this is another step that most people skip, is visual alignment and visual direction. तो इसके अंदर क्या होता है, mood board के through, or maybe like anything, you can pick up Canva also, you can do it on Pinterest also. You just have to align your visual direction. Why I'm talking about this is because there is a very important concept in branding, which is focused and unfocused brands. Most brands that you see online, they're very unfocused. So when you look at their website, it looks different. When you look at their packaging, it's very different. Sometimes they're putting a social media post that is very memey, but their packaging is luxury. Then sometimes they are doing festive campaigns. So it's very cluttered. Unfocused brand से क्या होता है, किसी consumer का trust नहीं बन पाता आप पे. People don't know what you exactly stand for. So visual identity and design is very broad. And if you don't define a visual direction for your brand and lock it in and commit to it, that this is always how my brand will look and feel at all touch points, then it will create confusion for the end consumers, right? So once you have defined this, a mood board is defined, then you move on to identity and design. Ab iske andar, of course, you will figure out your logo, your type, your colors, your collaterals, your packaging. So identity and design is where most brands stand out and they look different than others, because ये end touch point है जो user पे जाएगा. Brands like Moxie or Minimalist stood out in the market because everyone was doing X, so Minimalist decided to do Y. Everyone was doing maximal design, a lot of clutter in their packaging and boxing and models and all of that everyone else was doing. Minimalist, they just did a clean dabba, that's it. So that stood out. Now, based upon, we have already covered website in this section, how you need to build that website. But when you're building a brand, you need to make sure that this website is customized based upon this visual identity. If you're using a template or any of these solutions, then you will need to make sure that your images are very customized based upon the brand. Then your product shoot is very consistent with the branding and the position that you have defined. अगर आप प्रीमियम लग्जरी ब्रांड कर रहे हो तो आप रोड पे नहीं रख सकते हो फिर अपने डब्बे को. वर्स अगेन अगर आप मॉडर्न ब्रांड बना रहे हो तो आपको फिर मॉडल्स भी वैसे चाहिए होंगे. सो एवरीथिंग नीड्स टू बी इन टैंडम विद द ब्रांड दैट यू हैव डिफाइंड एंड द शूट डायरेक्शन विल ऑल्सो बी डिफाइंड बाय दैट. सो वेबसाइट के अंदर कस्टमाइजेशन होगी, द बैनर इमेजेस, द प्रोडक्ट इमेजेस, they are highly customized. Plus, most important thing is the story. Like every e-commerce website, they look very similar. You have to make sure that you can highlight your brand's story on the website, because that's also a buying decision that is happening when people are on the store. And of course, lastly, it needs to be conversion rate optimization. It needs to be conversion friendly. People actually need to be able to buy from this website. Now, last point is what we covered in the last section is distribution, marketing, videos, everything else that we do. Now, this needs to be also inconsistent with whatever we have defined in step 1, 2 and 3. So this is what you have to do. जिसके अंदर again I'm talking about brand story a lot, and this is a word that we are using a lot because again people resonate with stories. Again, no one really cares about your new brand. People care about the story that you are and the feeling that you are inculcating in them. So if they feel good about themselves, then they'll buy from you. It's very simple. Like 90% of the brands will miss this, and then they will claim कि हम business या brand क्यों नहीं बना पाए. Because अगर ये नहीं सही हुआ, तो ये जितना भी सब हमने अभी तक discuss करा है, most likely collapse होगा. Which is why this section is very important, and that's why I talked about it at the very last, which is why it was the most interesting question.
So all of this looks pretty sorted to me, but let's move on to some real talk. How much money do I need to do all of this? Because I do not have lakhs sitting around somewhere.
Okay, let's break down the money next. The thing with money is कि money की कोई limit नहीं है. When you are building a business or setting up a brand, तो उसमें कोई limit नहीं है. And now it depends upon how much you can spend. Before even getting into it, I would like to say अगर आप शुरू में पैसे invest नहीं कर सकते, then starting a business is probably not the right fit for you. It looks very fancy right now because every second influencer is trying to sell you a course on how to start a business. But ideally, you should start a business when you're really, really, really passionate about something, and when you can't find a solution to this problem that you're facing in life. Only then start a business. और उसके अंदर भी जब आपके पास वो passion and ये सब आ गया है, then you have to think about, oh, does my pocket even allow that? That's a decision that you have to take. So let's divide it into 4 buckets, essential buckets जो पैसे लगते हैं. पहला तो है product and the sourcing and all of it. So that takes the most amount of money. Then comes the logistics, whatever you need to figure out. Then comes the store setup, and lastly is your brand investment. So product sourcing is one of the most crucial steps because you need to validate कि आपका product सही है भी कि नहीं और वो customers को अच्छा लगेगा भी कि नहीं. So once you have found the product, we have already talked about all of that in the section. So you can go to websites like Meesho, you can check out IndiaMart, you can check out different suppliers. If you're doing it internationally, then there is AliExpress. So there are a ton of products that you can source, and generally ये price point होता है like you have to order, the first batch is about 5 products you're ordering to check the sample, to check the quality and all of that. So that will take up around 2 to 5K. Depends upon what product are you getting into. It can be more also, it can be less also, I know. So let's say first batch में आपको 5K लगा, but ये first batch से कुछ होगा नहीं. Probably इसके अंदर 2 या 3 batches होंगे. तो इसके अंदर आप मोटा मोटा इसको into 3 भी कर लोगे तो you will spend around 15 to 20K in product sourcing and figuring out the sampling. Once you have figured out the sample, तो आपको first order देना पड़ेगा. Now you have figured out the order. तो अब order कितने products का दोगे? That depends upon you. But ideally you need at least I would say 30 to 50K का तो order दोगे. Even if you're ordering let's say 20 SKUs or something, you'll spend some money on it. So ideally तो 50 होनी होती है. मतलब my suggestion would be order 50 SKUs. But yeah, it depends upon each business. So this is another money that you'll take. The next section is logistics, but there is no upfront cost. Because every provider charges you based upon every order. तो logistics तो पूरा उधर से figure out हो जाएगा. You just need to tie up with someone like Shiprocket So हर product का अलग होगा, हर sizing, weight के हिसाब से, and all of that will be different. So around 50 to 150 rupees, let's take. This is what on every order you will spend. So you have to consider those costs as well. Logistics में एक और चीज़ है, which is your packaging. Now again, suppliers you can find from India Mart and different packaging suppliers are there. You need to place a bulk order. Depends upon the level of quality of packaging you get, but initially maybe you will be spending 3 to 7k on getting your packaging material, everything from the dabba to whatever the product is. Then the next up is the store setup. Now you'll probably building it on Shopify, so this will be a monthly cost. अब सब कुछ अगर सोच लें, Shopify, then domain, then hosting in case of WordPress, then payment gateway ले लो. So all the subscriptions and everything that you'll do if you're building a digital store. तो इसका मोटा मोटा आपको cost बैठ जाएगा anywhere from 3 to 4k per month. So this is a monthly cost. इतना आना चाहिए. Depends upon how many things you get. If you get into a different discussion of a physical store, तो उसका तो फिर कोई लिमिट नहीं है. If you're opening in tier 1, then rents can be in lakhs. If you're opening in tier 2, then thousands. But सबसे कम भी लोगे physical store कोई खोल रहे हो तो उसको बनाओगे तो आपके लाखों में पैसे तो लगेंगे. One time investment एक होगी and then there will be rent. So rents start from anywhere. If you take a small store 15k and it can go up to 1.5 lakh. So इसका तो बहुत ही broad range है if you're setting up something physical. So इसलिए again suggestion is कि पहले digitally करो, D2C करो, and then go on. Brand is very broad, but like I told you, you DIY most things. इसके अंदर से जो सबसे ज़्यादा currency आपकी जाने वाली है वो है time. Of course, time is money. If you're starting out, you want to save money, तो you will invest time. तो इसके अंदर positioning खुद से करो. So DIY में you do positioning by yourself, you create content by yourself, you do visual direction by yourself. You set up a store by yourself. Like to save cost, you can use a freelancer. Again, give them direction, because if you don't give them direction, you don't have a positioning figured out, you don't have a visual direction, then all of this fails. If you go towards an agency, then cost start ही होगी 1-1.5 लाख से. Depends upon how big of a brand are you trying to build. अब मोटा मोटा इसको summarize करें. So you're spending around, I'm taking upper limits so that you can get a sense of कितना लग रहा है. So first would be sampling. I'm taking the higher ends of the spectrum so that you have a tentative idea that goes 20k. Then order, let's take an average of 40k. Logistics, let's take it as 5k. And store setup, if you're doing D2C e-commerce first, then let's take an average of 10k for 3 months because you need a backlog of 3 months at least. So 10k here. Then on the brand side, even if you take a minimal, then on brand side, if you use a freelancer, that comes out to be 20k. So the grand total comes out to be 65, 75, 95k. Let's round it off to a lakh. This is how much you need to even think about starting an e-commerce brand. If this was drop shipping, then all of this will go out. Sampling and order will go out, so you'll save up on 60k, which is why drop shipping is an easier model, which is why I don't recommend that in 2026. But this is the minimum amount, I would say. इससे ज़्यादा ही लगेगा for most people. If you want to build a credible brand, then you'll invest more in the order, you'll invest more in the sampling because you need a high quality one. Logistics and store will be pretty much similar, but brand side 20k की जगह 2 lakh भी जा सकता है. Depends upon how actively you want to build. So yeah, this was in essence how you build a brand end to end, top to bottom. This is what we discussed in this session. So I'll give you a quick recap. We first started with what exactly is ecom and what different categories of e-commerce businesses are there. Once you've decided that you're doing D2C, then you go on to the next section where you understand the business model. What do you want to do? Do you want to build your own product, or do you want to private label? What do you want to do? Once you have decided upon that, then you go to figure out your niche, which is very important because you can't just simply build any e-commerce store. So you do a lot of analysis, you do market study, you figure out, okay, this is the domain you want to get into based upon demand, competition, and repeat purchase. Then you do an actual in-depth market analysis. Here you figure out, based upon the trends, what is most in demand. Google Trends पे पहले जाओ, then you go to Insta Reels, YT Shorts, you check out marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, and you check out their bestsellers. Try to identify a gap. So here you understand the product, the supplier, you solve, and then you find out your competitive edge and how you need to sell. Here you figure out what your product is, where is it coming from, what your product can be, what the gap is. If you can buy a product and then you can sell it for a better price, which is competitive in the market, that is what you figure out in market analysis. Once market analysis is done, then you move on to setting up your store. So इसके अंदर simple है, pick a platform like Shopify or just use AI, set up a simple store. Keep this checklist in mind, which is very important for setting up a store. Once you have a store, once you know what you're going to sell, then you figure out how will people see you. So that's an important section where you figure out distribution. Distribution में दो parts हैं, paid and organic. This is very important for new businesses because ads will need a lot of money. This basically you can DIY. You need to start creating content, short form, long form, and start leveraging influencers. And then you need to start leveraging micro influencers without paying them. Lastly, you do all of this, it will still most likely fail if you don't build a brand around it. To build a brand, you figure out your positioning and strategy and your visual direction. Once you have that locked in, once you commit to it, then you do an identity design. You can use a freelancer or you can DIY yourself using any of the AI tools. You build a website, which we covered in this section, but you customize this section based upon this brand that you have built. And then of course the distribution, everything is figured out based upon the positioning and the strategy that has been locked in. 90% of the people fail here. They set up everything, but they don't build a brand, which is why most businesses fail. And in terms of investment and money, you'll end up spending around lakh. So make sure that you at least have 1 lakh in your bank account and you're ready to lose that money. Because this first investment will only get you to validation. I'm sure you will get some orders and you'll make some money, but this is only there for validation. Once you have the validation, then the real journey of building a brand starts. But that's something that we can cover in the next video. So that's it.
You definitely made this really simple for me, but this does sound like a lot of work. And I better get to it.
The information is out there, the tools are out there, and the market is ever growing. And this is your holy grail. So if you're looking to build a brand in 2026 and this video helped you, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to this channel. We make detailed analysis like this. And if there is a particular section that you want us to dig deep into, then comment that below as well. We'll definitely make a detailed video on that section. We've already made a simplified video on building a brand into a 5-step process. And the video is linked here. So make sure you check that out if you're building a brand. Yeah, for now, that's it. Until next time, may the force be with you. I think कुछ तो बोलो, excited लगो, yes. एक और बार करते हैं.
So Yash, my life feels very meaningless.
Agreed.